Hi everyone, welcome back to our webinars and lovely to see all the familiar faces. Also lovely to see some new names on this webinar. Welcome, and I hope you get to join us every month. So, we in the Masters in Coaching webinar, and our guest speaker today is Rama Kannan. Um, and I was quite deliberate in making sure I pronounced the name well. But I have a feeling that as the webinar goes on, I'm going to go to default mode. I'll apologize in advance.
That's okay. I'm used to people from different countries calling me by different.
Yeah.
Others love your
Um,
pronunciation.
and today our topic is all about neuroscience and coaching. Quite interesting. And I was speaking to Rama earlier on, and we were, well, yesterday, I think 2 days ago, right? And again today.
Yeah,
And we said that what we would love is for you to be engaged into the webinar, meaning share your points of view, engage in the questions, share your opinions, or bring forth your knowledge and resources that you have on this topic. Um, and yeah, at this point, Rama, I think I'll keep quiet and let you take over. So, welcome and wonderful to have you as our guest today.
thanks so much, Cindy. Thank you. Yes, and absolutely. So this will be, as we spoke, Cindy, will be of course a conversation between you and I, and
Yeah.
with everybody participating. And uh, I know you would be looking at the chat, so thank you in advance in case I'm not able to focus on that as I speak. So let me start actually with the picture. Can I? Oh, sorry, I have to share screen.
Oh, this is January webinar, right? So
Yeah,
we didn't wish. So to everyone, we wish you well for the new year.
yeah,
Whatever is your endeavors or dreams or desires this year, we wish you well in how you do it and success in getting it done.
absolutely. And hope that all the craziness of the last year is out, and we do have all the learnings, and some of the good things that happened in the last year continue, and some good things did happen last year.
Absolutely.
So, I would love to. I thought I'll start with the picture, Cindy. I'd love to have people look at it and tell me what do they see.
Well, that's lovely.
Could you just type in? I know maybe some people have seen it, but I would love to have people type in as to what you're seeing. What is this woman? Yes, doing? What is she looking like? What is she doing?
Hmm. Yeah, what do you see? What are you noticing, observing here?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Are you seeing anything in the chat?
Yep. Lots of. She's smiling. She's excited. Um, she's happy.
Yeah, that's
She's
what.
upside down and smiling. Um, well, some people are saying she's not smiling. So,
Ah, did they
mm,
turn it upside down? Did
curiosity. Yeah.
they? Curiosity. Okay, let me move. And this is what she looks like when you
Hmm.
actually turn it. All I've done is to actually turn it upside down. It was, and this is what it is. Did that surprise people? What our brain made us look at this? What does it make us look at it as? This is something somebody has shared in the ICF Bangalore chapter. So thank you to whoever did that. And I thought this was an amazing share to start with. The picture. What does it make us all feel like? How did that happen? What did our brain tell us, and what kind of assumptions did we make? What did you think, Cindy?
Um, oh gosh, you know how my brain thinks s- we in a competency webinar, right? My brain's thinking that way. So I'm going to blame this on my brain.
Yeah.
Because immediately I thought, um, in coaching, when we listen to one dynamic, one part, we're only listening to the thoughts or to the
Mm,
words coming out, to the thinking, right?
yeah.
And how much more we make assumptions around if we don't look at what's beyond.
Yeah.
We don't look at what's below or what's beyond. Because you turn the picture around and really the expression changed into a complete opposite.
Yeah. And she's not even looking at us. She's like looking somewhere else. And
Yeah,
what you thought, it's just different from what? Yeah. Somebody mentioned that the brain looks for the familiar. Yeah,
yep,
it does.
absolutely.
And it's kind of confused, right? Because when you see the picture, which is the earlier one, you're looking at it as, okay, what is this? Ah, we think she's smiling because that's how our brain is confused. The way the mouth is, look at that. And we think she's looking at something and happily smiling. And she's
Yeah,
not.
yeah, absolutely.
And Cindy, you're so right. I mean, that's what we were discussing, right? That we make these assumptions about when we are with the client, with the coach, coaching partner, with people, without actually waiting and seeing, perceiving, and that leads us in completely different directions.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, it
It's,
is.
it's a,
Sorry. Yes, Cindy.
I was going to say it's a lovely start, Rama, because now we've refocused into our own how we think about things.
Yeah, it is, right? Yeah. So, and that's what neuroscience does, right? It focuses, it is about the brain and its impact on behavior and cognitive functions. And that's what, so I'm going to have some of the slides on, but we're going to have it on a more discussion platform, Cindy and I, and hopefully all of you. And Cindy, I'm not able to see the chat. So please, if there is anything which you think I should be looking at, please tell me.
I'll stop. Yeah. Okay.
It's
And sorry to all our participants, feel free to use the Q&A. If
yeah,
there's a question there, or if you want to join the panel for a particular discussion topic, let us know via the Q&A box.
yeah, yeah. Um, so that's what neuroscience does. And why is it connected to, okay, why does it not? And the connection to coaching, how does that work? We know, with research now, after many years, many decades of it, earlier we thought that the brain does not change after a particular years. Now we know that it can. And that we actually have the power to direct the course of how do we want it to change. And that's what we as coaches can help to do in a more disciplined and a more intentional manner. That's what an understanding of a neuroscience can help us do, which is, we know, all of us know that something that we do with the coaching, when we are, something works and sometimes something doesn't work. And hopefully, neuroscience gives us some understanding of why something works and why something does not work, and why maybe we need to do something slightly differently, which can help the coachee even more. Anytime you feel like, Cindy, just please, of course, you will jump in.
Yeah, there's a lot of chats going on around the first pic, the first images, Rama.
Mhm.
Around right now, neuroplasticity, Ram's favorite
Yeah.
topic,
Yes.
but mostly around that the picture's been manipulated and our perceptions around it, um, interpretations around that, which is good, right? I mean, because we want to all open up and share our opinions on interpretations.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's so true, right? I saw somebody mention that both pictures are true. Well, both pictures are true from what perspectives you're looking at it, and that's what this is.
Yeah,
And that's what you're going to be helping, guiding, looking at, partnering with the coachee as well, to see from different perspectives, and that there
yeah,
is perhaps no one truth.
absolutely.
So if all that, that we are talking about, that it's so important that it's going to, the brain can change, and that's what we work on. I mean, anything as a coach we do is providing a context for change, right? We are working with our clients to maybe change behaviors, to take on a different role, to rethink their beliefs. Everything is about change, and if that's what brain science is about, it's good for all of us to at least understand what does it mean, so that we have some kind of an, let's say, an evidence or a base for how coaching works. So if we look at, understanding what is the 101 on, I mean, brain science is incredibly complex, right? I'm not even going to say I know even 1% of it. It's only the research that I've done, and both Cindy and I, our initial training was from Neuro Leadership Group, which is and it's brain based coaching. Perhaps some of you are from that, so you will understand some part of it. And both of us also have, with many years of coaching, realized how our brain does influence the coaching, and why it is important for us to understand the science behind it. So, in terms of what is the 101 of neuroscience, and these are just very, very, very basic. So, the most important part is two parts of the brain that I'm not going to go into any details at all. One is the limbic system, and that's the one which is comes from a much earlier, it's considered as the survival brain, which is the one which, we go back to when, the caveman, when there was a lion attacking, it was either a flight or a freeze, or that's the response that he had. And that's what the limbic system is about. So that's the one which houses the emotions part of it, the survival part of it. Whereas the prefrontal cortex, the PFC, is what is considered as the decision making. All the cognitive functions stem from there. So those are in some way the two most important parts of the brain. Uh, and and there are other chemicals which are also housed in the brain. There is, I think, all of us would have heard about the dopamine and the endorphins and the serotonin, which are happy chemicals. Sometimes which are released when we are happy, sometimes which are if we are in love, when we want to be, when we are really excited about something. Each one of them has something positive going for it. There's one chemical though, which is the stress inducing cortisol, which is when we are feeling really stressed, that is released. And when we are under stress, we are not able to work, we are not able to think, we are not able to work. So what does this mean for us? So the PFC is the thinking part of the brain, right? That's the one which is going to be about making decisions. It's the cognitive part, it's the learning, and it's the problem solving. Strangely, though, it's the smallest part of the brain, it's right in the front, and it's really small and energy intensive, which means that the little that it does, it's called, I think David Rock called it the Goldilocks, right, Cindy? Of the which means that, it does not work well under stress. It is so tiny, and that, you are it gets exhausted. far too fast, and it's unable to multitask. When the PFC is functioning well, we are able to have, we all have found that there are times when we feel we were at our best. And when we were able to think best, we were able to present, we were able to connect beautifully, we were able to be really collaborate with people well. We had an amazing attention to put everything together. We solved the issues what was there. We know we've all done it. And that's when the PFC was actually functioning well. And when it is not working well, which does happen when we're under stress, we just don't feel like doing, we feel lazy, we are distracted, we are constantly looking at our phone, we are not able to do various things, and our focus is on negative, on the problem part, and we're feeling, we're not able to finish things. And that's why the PFC part of it is essential for us to know that how do we look at keeping that central core to us, that we are able to do tasks well only when the PFC is at a highly functioning part. And the other, the amygdala with and the limbic system with the amygdala is in the limbic system, which is actually the emotional part of it, is the seat of the fight or flight response. So that's the one which tells us, okay, when we are feeling happy, we are feeling rewarded, and we are in a happy toward way. And when we are feeling threatened, when we are maybe hungry, when we are feeling on a way completely away, we are not feeling happy at all about it. And the way the brain works is, unfortunately, the bad is stronger than good. We feel more threatened more easily, we generalize the threats, and so we need to be focusing more on how can we work harder at being in a more toward position for us, and that's the only way we'll be able to function best. And when the amygdala is feeling really strong, it can just hijack the control from the PFC, from the prefrontal cortex, which means we would not be able to work well, think well. When it hijacks, cortisol is removed, is released, and we are under stress, we just are not able to work, and we have reduced functioning, we are not able to have enough insights. So that is not the one that we want to be. Cindy, did you want to share something? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just going to follow up your thought. And
Yeah.
that's the time then when you're feeling that way, you reach out to speak to a coach, right? And I say that because so many of our clients, when we meet them in session one, tells us this entire story about how they're feeling or how they're experiencing something in a more away reaction than a towards, right? So everything comes out.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. And they are because they are all they're doing. And if they are start focusing on all the negatives, right? All those
Yep,
problems come up and you're feeling really, you just continue to do it and you just are not able to find your way out of that maze, emotional haze and maze that you're stuck in. I'm just going
absolutely.
to see if there is anything in the chat on these two
Yeah, let's
questions.
pick up this point that Pat Dixon is raising, and he says, question. So the PFC is the doing, is it? What do you think? To everybody onto the chat also. I mean, sorry, to all our participants. What do you think? Is the PFC the doing part?
Yeah, it's the thinking part as well. Yeah. Anybody else apart from Nirala? It does. Hmm.
And yet it also impacts our emotions, right?
The amygdala and the limbic system is impacts our emotions. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. The PFC is the conscious action, the problem solving. Yes. Yeah. So with
Lance,
that,
would Lance, in your response, would you click on all panelists and participants because you're Messages are only coming to us. To
Ah,
everyone, please use all panelists and attendees.
so somebody asked a question on what is intentional awareness.
Mm,
What do people think? What is intentional awareness? And that's something which, as coaches, is quite important, right?
yeah,
Not all emotions are bad, Anita, but here we are talking about the survival instinct part of it, where it is leading us to making decisions which, when we are feeling negative emotions and when we are feeling threatened, and those are the emotions that limbic system holds.
yeah. There's a lovely PDF on this or some tools on this on the web.
Yeah,
David Rock is the one that we'll give credit to him for the development of a whole lot of tools around neuroscience and especially on this away and towards reaction. And if Venkat, I know you're on this call, so I'm sure you're on it looking for those tools and resources. And the rest of you, if you find those tools and resources, please would you put the links up on the chat so we can all create resources for ourselves.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Uh, I love the female part. I'm trying to simplify. Scarf from David Rock is brilliant. Yeah, we will come to that. Um, Anita and I think Vinita earlier mentioned, do emotions have? Yeah, absolutely. But and we'll come into why emotions, how do we, if it is hijacked, then we're not able to have a rational thinking. And that's all we are saying. We're not saying that we shouldn't have emotions or that emotions are bad. The only part we are saying is that when emotions overtake, then we are not able to think through. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So, and how does our brain work? Some of it, I mean, all of this is from David Rocks. People would know. Brain is a connection machine. It does love to make connections, and it makes connections of various different things. And it's not a one. Different neurons fire differently. Something else that you did somewhere else, it picks up from somewhere else, and it makes absolutely different connections. And no two brains are alike.
Nope.
As an example, I keep going back to this. So if I say, I would love to hear from people. If I say yellow, what comes to people's mind? Just put it in the chat box, please. Happy. Yeah, your brain at work, absolutely. Yellow, brightness, bananas, bright, a bus, sun and mango, golden sunset sap. I love this color. Yeah, just color, not just color yellow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't it amazing that it's Lord Krishna? Wow. Would not have thought that. Just the color
Hmm.
turmeric. So
Turmeric.
yeah, and that's what the interesting part is, that it one, our brain is connected to something. When I said yellow, to something, and each one thinks differently. And that is one of the main reasons why we do not want to be thinking for our clients, because they are going to be making their own connections, they're going to be making their own thinking. And it's not something that is going to help if we give them anything, because only when they start thinking through will those connections between different parts of the brain occur. And the brain hardwires everything it can. And why does it do that? Because it's a very energy intensive, the PFC specifically is. And so only when it is hardwired, you're able to do things on an automatic pilot. I think this example, everyone understands that, when we all start learning to drive, it's just impossible to, or at least when I first started driving, you also have to have a clutch and a brake, and Accelerator, how do you coordinate all that and keep your focus on the road and move your driving wheel? It wasn't easy. You had to focus on doing each one separately. But slowly, it's created the pathways so deep that it's hardwired. Now it becomes automatic. And it does that because that's the only way it is easy for us to, when we see a bus coming fast towards us, we understand its danger and we move. It has to hardwire it so that we can move fast. And that's what also drives perception. You've hardwired in your childhood certain things which you've heard from your ecosystem, from your parents, from your teacher, from your neighbors, and you start looking at that as perceiving the world through those eyes. And that is why some of our behaviors and beliefs, all of those come from those. And strangely, it is not actually, it is almost impossible to deconstruct, to break away those wiring. So, but on the other hand, it is possible for us to create new wiring. And it is actually easy. And that's where the intentional awareness comes in, Vinita, or somebody who asked that question. Focusing attention on something makes us, and working hard at it, makes us create new wiring. So think of it like a river is passing through, and it's actually deepened, and the river is passing through, but you cannot, and that's not, if you can't take that away. But what you can do is to maybe create a side path to it, and slowly a small stream of water starts flowing through that, and more as you focus attention on it, the river actually diverts and starts flowing through this other one. And that's the only way that you can create the new wiring, and that's why it's important to be focusing and doing it. And that's what we do as coaches with our clients, having them focus on new habits, reframe those beliefs, and keep looking at how are they taking those actions, holding them accountable to what they have asked for. And that's the attention that is needed for them to be, creating and hardwiring those paths. I'm just going to stop here. Cindy.
That example of the river is a very good one because it's graphic and you can relate it to what the brain looks like and all those neurons, right?
Yeah.
What are we hardwiring and not? And Rama, while you were talking, I remembered something. Now I don't know the name of the book. I'm trying quite hard to remember it.
Yeah.
But Sanjay Gupta, the CNN, the
Yeah.
doctor that does the news reporting, wrote a book recently on neuroscience and hardwiring the brain, and telling people how to go about doing that. And I just read a review on the book. He's got some nice exercises in there. If somebody remembers the name of that book, could you just put it onto the chat, please?
Yeah, please. Yeah, that will be great. Yeah. So he mentioned that book, is it? Okay, I don't remember. But there's been a lot of books written. I mean, Schwartz has
Yes.
done a lot of research on this. Of course, David Rocks has. There have been various others, and the minute you do Google on any of these topics, uh, there'll be enough and more, I think. And anybody has anything to share on these, anything that can help any of us, all of us, please. And yes, Your Brain at Work by David Rock is an amazing book. If people haven't read it, I think that gives a great view of how do we live our life, and why do we have this default way of living, and how can we change it if we have intentional awareness around it. Yeah.
Thank you, Pradeep. And Rama, I like this point. No two brains are alike.
Sorry, did I lose you?
No two brains are alike. I mean, you and I did neuroscience. How we heard this repeatedly. No two brains, right? Or with clients when you're coaching, and with different clients. No two clients are alike that comes to us.
Yeah.
And I always recall this competency or this marker that talks about your response to the coach or your coach's questions, intuitions, comments, thoughts, and feelings are customized to what happens in the session. They customize to the response of the client.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. Totally. Yeah. Yeah. Uh, I'm only the one person, somebody, Juliet has said that you can directly access the subconscious and break those links by hypnotherapy. Thank you, Juliet, for sharing. I did not, I mean, I've heard of it. Um, I'm sure that's possible when you know of it. So maybe I'm just generalizing here from what has come from the neuroscience research part of it. Um, so one second. I don't know why this. Yeah. So I was wondering, what are the implications of the learnings for coaching for us? And when I come to this part, Cindy, I would always refer to you, defer to you as the authority on the four pieces of insight. Would you please share?
Yeah, I don't know about the authority. I just know I love this model. Because, when coaching and I love the first phase because, people are aware that they in a space where they're stuck or they need some help or they need a thinking partner, like when they come to us for coaching. So it's that awareness of something going on. You are aware of it. And you are aware of it to the point that you need some kind of help on it. And make an appointment or see a coach or find a coach. And in coaching, I love it when a client is sharing an issue or sharing a dilemma and they talk and talk and talk and tell you all about it, right? And there comes to this point in coaching when there's some quietness beginning to happen,
Yeah,
slowing down. You can feel you can sense the entire rapport of the client is beginning to change. And you can feel that quiet reflective space. And there's so many competencies of course coaches, that makes reference to coach is quiet and gives client time to think, and about taking a pause or giving client time to reflect. There's a lot of markers and a fair amount of markers and competencies that makes reference to the second phase, reflection. And in that moment, there's something new beginning to emerge, right, Rama? In that reflective moment.
totally.
Something new, whether it's an insight or a realization or just a glimpse of an haha moment, something is beginning to change. Like you talk, 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 and you just realize, that's a missing piece. Of course, you're doing all this with the coach's help, with the coach's powerful questioning and sharing of insights sharing of what they're noticing and observing. And there comes this light bulb moment. Haha,
Yeah,
A- And a good amount of coaching around that. And of course, there is this motivation now that's beginning to emerge in the client to take a whole lot of action steps out of the space where they felt stuck in. And then illumination, of course, we want to do some actions like right now. Right now, I can go and do it. Right now, I can go and write that book. Or right now, I can take that action. And right now, I can go to gym. So you get the illumination to do it. And I guess that's the best part to capture. And that's why we get all these lovely markers around support and resources and accountability structure to help you that sustain the illumination. So it doesn't disappear, right? It's not illumination for 5 minutes and end of coaching, illumination has disappeared. It's becoming more sustainable with actions and resources and support you need. So I love this model. It's a beautiful model on creating awareness and how people move forward. And it's
Yeah,
only one model. There's many models that do justice to creating awareness. This is a particular model that I like.
I love it too. And it's true, right? When we are with our client, we know that when they're, suddenly talking about, or you can see it in their face that they are confused. They have a dilemma. And it's the kind of space we give them for them to actually be ready to share and reflect, and the questions that we ask. I'm sure Cindy would be able to compare it to all the competency markers on what we do, what is the presence that is required, what's the kind of questions perhaps that we should be asking, the powerful questions which are going to move them towards this. And we can't stop it at the elimination part. We have to be looking at where is the motivation or the actions that can take place, and without which, as Cindy was saying, it'll just be stuck at an insight, and that's
Yeah,
really not enough as great coaches to be doing that. So the other parts of the um, the implications for us is that we know some of these, we know that this is what we've learned as coaching, as coaches, but sometimes we don't know why that works. So we know that it's not for us to be working on the problem, it's for we should be focusing on the person. Why are we focusing on the person? Because it's important for the purpose, for the person to take control of her own life and her own intentions. So it has to be self directed, and that's the only way she can connect, her brain can connect, the happy chemicals can get released, and she can make progress in whatever path she wants to be going to. So as coaches, we are not the ones who should be focusing on the problem. That's why we do not focus on the problem, but start looking at the person as to how are they thinking, what can we do to give them the space for them to expand their thinking. Can we ask questions for them to reframe, for them to challenge themselves, or for them to look at it in a more opportunity rather than just as something fearful to attempt? And from also from the limbic systems, the emotional part, we know that it's the fear and the away, the bad is I think it says, the research shows it's almost 3 is to 1, in terms of 3 times, you need to do something which is more positive and looking, rather than what you're looking at as a problem. If you have to be looking at to move forward and not looking at the problem, that's the only way you will be able to find your answers, because otherwise you would keep it, the hardwired would continue to keep happening. You will just, the river just gets deeper and deeper at the same path. And so if you have to move out of it, you have to start looking at where do I want to be going. Let's have that intention towards that. And the part for that, I mean, you want them to be also thinking creatively, to be moving forward. And only when you have less fear and you're feeling positive is the only way you can start thinking expansively. Your PFC is going to function only when you know that I'm not afraid. I'm looking at it as an opportunity. I know I want to be going there. And you want your happy chemicals to be released. And that is why, as coaches, we are doing forward thinking, we are giving positive feedback to the client all the time. We are not making them rethink about their problems. We want them to think that they have the potential and they have the strength in themselves. And so we are the ones who are doing generative listening, as Otto Sharma beautifully puts it, that we are looking at what are the strengths and the possibilities they have in them for them to look at, oh, that's a facet I have, and that's where I can use it. And that's when the PFC can function really well. And the attention density here is about, you can't be doing only for you to create those new wiring and the connections. You have to be focusing on that which you want to change. And that's what, as coaches, we can do. We can ask them for what actions, homework they are taking, what, as Cindy so evocatively explained, the four phases of insight. Once they are in the motivation and action phase, you don't just stop there, right? Because as you are even closing the conversation in coaching, you're going to be asking them, how are you going to, what are the challenges you'll face when you say you want to take these actions? Do you need support for it? And you're going to be keeping coming back to saying, this is the habit that you had said you're going to be taking on, this is the behavior change that you said you were going to take on. Where are you on that? How do you want to focus on that? What did you learn by doing and maybe failing? Is there something else that you could have done? Or if you succeeded, what did you learn about yourself by doing it? Those kind of attention to it is what deepens the wiring there. I'm going to stop again to ask, are there any questions anybody has, or comments, or anything? How does the heart connect with the PFC? I'm not sure, Elish. Eilish. Um, yeah, Joan, that's true. fMRI studies show that we make a decision 7 seconds or 10 seconds, I thought, before we consciously think we do. And that's the reason of those four phases of insight. It reflects in our body. David Rock referred to the mind at all. Well, brain is a physical thing, right? And it influences the mind. So brain is what we have as one big object in the head. And the mind is the one which is doing the thinking and the cognitive. And the brain is the one we can say that's the physical part of the brain which is influencing the mind, or maybe the heart as well. I'm not sure, Eilish, about that part.
Yeah,
Anybody have?
Mon, and I know, Mon, you got some expansive thinking around the mind and the intellect and the brain. One of these days, I'll invite you and we can open up that conversation.
Yeah, I can see somebody is saying reframe is important. Yeah, are based on memories of past experiences. Absolutely. And if you need to be reframing those, uh, all sides where appropriate.
This is lovely, right, Rama? Focus on the person, not the problem.
Yeah,
Because in coaching, we talk about the who and the what, and you're talking about learnings here. What is the client learning about themselves,
yeah,
and how will this help them with their situation, their what? It's
correct.
lovely.
Eilish, would you like to just expand on, it's almost also describing my mentoring journey to MCC. How does that, could you share more? This anybody, I recently worked with a young girl on reflection. This was the process of the coaching. Highly motivated. Oh, okay, wow. Thank you.
So, to our participants, I have a question. What creates learning moments for you?
Mm,
What do you need for learning? Draw from your past experience. You all have lived experiences of learnings. I'm making the assumption that you all have. I think it's a safe assumption. What creates this learning moment, just before you come up with, what creates those moments for you?
would love to hear.
Yeah, lovely. When you are in the pick. Nice, provocative, evocative. Reflection, lovely.
This is
What's it like for you, Rama, when you need to think about things? What do you normally do?
I start walking. I
And
walk.
it lockdown? And it
It lets me, yeah, I need to walk to start thinking. It's crazy. Or maybe it's just a habit that's formed, but yeah, it's how do people, yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
I've got,
I also need to walk, get out of my study, go outside, come back in, go outside, come back in. And then I need to sit down. Like when things are becoming more cemented or clearer for me, I need to sit down, you know?
um,
It's funny how, I don't know how many of you have noticed this, your thinking or how we think is so related, so connected to our body actions. Like you're
yeah,
saying, walking.
yeah, yeah,
When we
absolutely
really pay attention, our thinking is so connected to body actions. And you see some people when they think they play with the pen, you know, there's some kind of action, body experiencing experience related to the thinking.
true, true, absolutely, yeah. It's and we know that, it is connected fully. I mean, our body, mind, body is connected. We all have know it instinctively, we know it, and brain research shows that it is fully connected. And that's how actually placebos, for example, work, because our cells in our body expect that we are going to get cured for some people, and they think that something is given to us which is going to cure us, and it's automatically help people to actually recover.
Yeah. I
With
think you
that,
got your last few slides and we're almost at the end, Rama. Well,
yeah,
we've
I
got
was
about
just
7 minutes.
wondering, I'm just going to share perhaps a few tools which I thought may help people, in the coaching journey.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, and I would love to have, if anybody else has any other tools to share, so that will be great to have that as well. Yeah. Okay. So the first is about labeling the feeling, and this is when amygdala has hijacked our PFC, for example. It's strange, but when you're able to say what exactly you're feeling, you're able to put it aside and focus on the thinking and bring uh, that connection actually back to the PFC. And that's why when you're suddenly, when you have to do something and you're feeling all nervous and you don't know what's going on, pause and say, what am I feeling? And I'm sure many of you have seen this feeling wheel. You can use, I mean, there are many different options available on the web. But if you're able to just focus and label exactly what you're feeling, I'm not just feeling, fear, I'm actually feeling overwhelmed of doing various things. If you're able to feel, say that, or maybe even write that, it dampens the limbic response, and you're able to actually move into your PFC, into your prefrontal cortex to actually do, to think, and have more creative options that is possible to do. I'm sure all of you have heard about, what you cannot say owns you, and what you hide does control you. So if you don't mention to anybody that, I'm angry, and you not even mention to yourself, but your non-verbal cues from you, or the way your face is looking, the way you're acting, your voice is raised, everything can happen because you've not, even if you haven't said it, you just in the grasp of that all-consuming anger. But pausing and saying, I am feeling angry, and you have then maybe the choice to make as to how do I want to show it. And there are also people, I mean, and here is where somatic coaching, there are people who are great, I'm sure, in this somatic coaches who are here. Understanding that, what I'm feeling and where in my body am I feeling it. You know that, you're feeling perhaps stress, and some people start feeling it. Just focus on, is it on my shoulders, is it on my back, is it on my neck? Just focusing on it, deepen your awareness of that, or just breathing into it, as somebody else in one of my earlier webinars had explained, helps you just dampen that and start using your PFC much better. So this is an important tool to use with our coaches for sure, for ourselves, to go into the meeting, into our engagement when we are not immediately present. How do we just dampen it and say, okay, intentionally, how do I want to show up with my client? Are there? I mean, why don't I maybe go into the other tools as well, and then come
Yeah.
back to the question, Cindy? Is that okay? So this is a scarf which I think a lot of I saw people mentioning it before. Cindy, why don't you explain? You are the expert in it.
No, Rama, I'm going to let you do that. You go ahead.
This is David Rock's, which he had done his research on how we all feel threatened, and we have, rewards. It is not just on physical, it's not just a lion coming in when we start feeling threatened, or when we see this amazing food and we feel really rewarded and happy. So our chemicals and the brain function exactly the same way in social situations. Anytime you're feeling stressful, you are feeling threatened, as much of a threat as when a tiger is chasing towards you. And so it's important for us to understand what are those situations in which we can feel that. And his scarf is, again, it's, you Google and you'll all be able to see it. Scarf stands for status, certainty, autonomy, relatedness, and fairness. It is about how each of us are not able to have our PFC work best because we are feeling threatened. And we feel threatened when in some way the status, for some, if for each of us, one of these is important. So the status here doesn't mean that we think we are really high up or something, but it could just be that, I am in a finance team, and the marketing team is not giving us importance to the finance team, is not even asking a question. And we feel that something is wrong. Why are they not doing it? And you feel threatened and you're not able to think in that situation. For many people, it is that I don't know what's going to happen. That vagueness makes them very confused, and they just can't function because there's this fog in their head. So able to understand what's going to happen. And that's also a reason why in coaching you start telling people right in the beginning, what am I going to be, what's going to happen over the 12 sessions. We're going to be articulating the goals. We will form strategies. We'll be doing actions. And that's what we'll be following up on, giving them some idea about what is it going to be like. Giving context to a person makes them feel that, oh, I know this path. It doesn't feel like a fog there. And for many other people, it is that I want to do it my way. When somebody is controlling me, I don't feel that I have autonomy. And that makes me feel very threatened. And then they can't function when they feel that they are being subjugated. And that can happen in any such social situation. If you just give somebody a directive and this is what you have to do, without giving them perhaps some kind of a leeway or flexibility, they're not happy and they're not able to function well. And for many other people, it is that I want to have some kind of a emotions, relatedness with another person. And that makes me build the trust. So, which is why sometimes when you have to start, if you're only being task oriented, and because that's what you think your work is, to start giving task and doing it, and you've not built that connect with another person, sometimes you're not able to get the best from people. And for a lot of other people, it is the feeling of unfairness. I see somebody else being treated in a different way than I am, and you start then feeling threatened. And as I said, it can be different for each of us. It's for us to perhaps analyze, look at our triggers, look at our hotspots to see which part of it actually connects to us. And this is a tool I use very, very often with all my coaches. And it always is an aha moment for them as to, oh, now I see why I'm not able to build a relation with the other person, because I can see that my being controlling does not help. She wants some autonomy, and that's what it gives them, that aha moment.
Hmm. And Rama, I also want to say these, and to all our attendees, um, well, these aspects, status, certainty, autonomy, relatedness, and fairness, are we noticing or seeing how it's showing up generally in the world currently, with whatever we are managing throughout the world? These are showing up. This relatedness, fairness, autonomy, choice, and certainty.
Yeah.
It's showing up as current issues that we all are managing, lived experiences for all of us. Rama, I also wanted to just check in with our coaches. We take about 3 to 5 minutes more. Is that okay with everyone?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I should have asked. Yeah.
And I'm looking for the Magda. If you can just put up our password for the CCUs, or do we need that anymore? Yeah? No? Okay, you'll tell us. Rama, you continue. Sorry.
Okay, okay. I hope it's okay for the coaches. I just thought I can share a couple of more tools. So the other, okay, why does it? Okay, okay. And this is a tool which I'm sure all of you know. And this is the iceberg model. And you can have different forms of iceberg, right? And what you are doing is that you see the actions of a person, and you know those actions are triggered by some kind of a behavior that they have done, and those behavior themselves happen because you're feeling something, and that feeling can come from thinking which has been something which is hardwired in you as a child. Perhaps it could be related to how we think of about people, how we think of as money, any kind of, all of these are driven by the hardwiring that we have. And when you're working with the client and they say, I just couldn't, this is what I did or I couldn't do, you can ask them as a behavior, as these iceberg model, on what led to this action, and what were you feeling when actually this you did this, and was there any thinking behind it. Some people use, of course, I mean, you can have the iceberg model move more into values and identity as well, because that's our sense of values can drive any of this. But I find this extremely useful, powerful, as many of you I'm sure have, when you focus the client to start thinking about their thinking.
Mhm.
And you can do it reverse. When they say, I want to be achieving this, you can ask them, what is the behavior that will result in getting you those actions? And what do you have to be feeling towards for you to get that kind of behavior? And if you actually have to feel that excitement or happiness or whatever, what do you have to be thinking, and that about it, for that to happen? So it's, you can use it either way for them to understand why did they have such results, and then they go in deeper into themselves. Or you can start looking at, how do you need to be actually thinking now for you to get your actions, the final results. So you can use it either which way. um, so I'm just going to go into the last one. I could not offer tools without mentioning mindfulness. There are enough fMRI study to show that when people do meditate, monks when they're meditating, or people who've meditated over long periods of time, the prefrontal cortex are the regions of the brain which are important, actually thickened. physically thickened. And so those are so important for us to be doing that presence, to be focusing on the mindfulness part of it. And there are various ways, right? There is vipassana, which I underwent, and maybe many of you. There are many meditation courses which are there. But anything which is making you pause and just be present, all you're doing is to be present. And that's what as coaches we do, right? We are asking us, all of us, to be present to the client. And that's what mindfulness is about. And so, if we can also share with our client about mindfulness practices and how actually it can help them be more positive and to dampen the survival, the flight or fight responses in them, if we share these, and that's what I found really interesting with our clients. Sometimes when people start, they don't want to be, they think, oh my god, I want to change it, why is it so difficult? It is easy for us then to say, neuroscience shows that we are hardwired, and it's going to be, we have to be creating new wiring, and you need that attention density for you to be actually creating that awareness and the new wiring, and the neurons have to connect. And so then they don't have to start feeling that, oh, I'm so bad, I procrastinate, I'm not able to do it. But they're able to understand that it's that's the way the brain works, and that's why they need to be looking at it in this way. Or when people say that, I don't know why I acted that way, I'm not usually like that, you can actually say what was going on in your mind. Maybe if you had labeled the feeling separately, you could have gone into the meeting in a state of mindfulness, in a state of intentional awareness into that meeting. So these give us some kind of an evidence on how coaching works, and it just underpins our own coaching journey. And that's what I would wish for all of us to have, that we are having uh, intentional awareness and work great with our clients, partner with our clients for them to achieve their goals. And that's what our job is, right?
Thank you,
So
Rama. Sorry to interrupt you. Many coaches are saying that you should come back and we should continue this topic. But please do go on.
no, that's great. Yeah, and I know this is. I'm sorry we have extended, gone beyond. Any questions or anything which are important which have come up, Cindy? That would you be
Mhm.
should we be
What I
asking?
want to say is thank you because it's it's the beginning of the year, and I think this webinar has set the tone for so much that we want to do this year, and I'm speaking generally, but maybe feeling a bit stuck in the emotion or the thinking or something around it.
Yeah,
So I think we've set the tone to, I'm going to repeat your words where you talk about labeling it, what are the feelings? Because if you label it, then you know what to do with it, right?
yeah,
What
yeah.
is the thinking or what is the feelings? And then we know how to move forward with it. And as you said, your medulla oblongata begins to settle down the moment it begins to label things and find its rightful spaces.
Absolutely true. Yeah, totally agree with you, Cindy. I mean, it's been uh, yeah, phenomenal to understand the underpinnings of coaching and why it works, right? Because we know that that's how our brain functions. And so it's just good to understand that, even as we are talking to clients, as to how we can best talk to them. So, um, how can we
Yes,
create the best
to
environment?
those asking about CCEs,
Sorry, did we lose you, Cindy? I can't hear you.
to those asking, sorry, Rama, to those asking about CCEs, yes, of course, the session as CCEs and webinar, and she will send you the certificate.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe we close
Anything you
here.
want to say to round up? Yeah, you want what do you want to say to
Um,
round up, Rama?
just that just just focus on how you can be more intentional towards when you for with yourself and being mindful. So all of that comes from, all of everything else flows from that for me.
And to the participants and to our coaches, anything you want to say to round up, feel free. Use the chat box.